evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Maisy Mok. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. The People's Liberation Army launched drills around Taiwan in response to an official stopover in the United States. There is a considerable drop in the number of people applying for subsidized housing flats. And the United States shores up alliances with South Korea and Japan to counter China's might. The People's Liberation Army launched joint air and sea patrols around Taiwan today. The drills coincided with a landmark summit hosted by U.S. President Joe Biden to shore up alliances with Japan and South Korea. Janice Low reports.
The People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command carried out joint air and naval patrols around the northern and southwestern parts of the Taiwan Strait today. The drills monitored air and sea coordination as well as the ability to control the battlefield. In a statement, Shi Yi, spokesman for the Eastern Theater Command, emphasized that the drill was a stern warning against the collusion between separatists and external forces to the island. The drills were seen as a response to William Lai's stopovers in the United States during a recent trip to Paraguay before returning to Taipei. He has been nominated by the Democratic Progressive Party to run in next year's general election. Coincidentally, the exercises also come at a time when leaders of the United States, South Korea, and Japan met for a trilateral summit in Washington. The Communist Party's Taiwan Work Office strongly condemned Lai's acts. The authority said it is willing to create a fast space for peace and unity, but it will definitely not give room for any form of separatist activities on Taiwan independence. As of early afternoon today, the island's Ministry of National Defense had detected 42 aircraft incursions, 26 of which crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait. 8 Navy vessels also participated in the drills. Similar drills were conducted when U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy met Tsai Ing-wen in California. Janice Low, HKIBC.
National Security Police have taken away a relative of fugitive Nathan Law for questioning, according to sources. It is believed the woman is Law's sister-in-law. Her house in Chongqing was searched before she was taken away. Sources said that she is alleged of assisting persons wanted by the police and engaging in activities endangering national security. Police did not rule out more arrests in the ongoing operation. Law has a $1 million bounty on his head. His parents and brother were also taken away for questioning last month. Back locally, the Spectrum of the Seas returned to the Kai-Tak cruise terminal after 2 weeks. This time, the passengers were greeted with a pleasant surprise as there was abundant public transport waiting to take them around. The Spectrum of the Seas cruise liner that carries 4,500 passengers docked at the Kai-Tak cruise terminal on its second voyage to the city. On its previous visit earlier this month, passengers had a long wait for taxis and buses, but there have been improvements since then. Around 3,000 passengers opted to take public transport today. Several of them were happy with the new arrangements.
Very good, excellent. We were on the second leg, so the first leg was a bit of a chaos. We have to queue for a long time, like an hour or so, But this is excellent. 5 minutes, I get to my bus, and it's free.
But taxi drivers who were lured to the cruise terminal by gas coupons had to wait for a long time to pick a ride. They were disappointed after many passengers opted to take other mode of public transport. Tourism Minister Kevin Yeung greeted the arrivals at the terminal today and said logistics were smooth.
政府係唔會咧係做一個長期而高度嘅介入。
Yeung said the government will not carry out high-level intervention into the terminal's operation in the long run and expects the operator to take responsibility and improvise from previous mistakes. A bazaar selling local products and souvenirs opened today on the upper floor of the terminal and will last until November. Kara Yeung, representative of the co-organizer of the bazaar, expects passengers to do some last-minute shopping before they board the cruise. Secretary for Civil Service Ingrid Yeung says the government's plan to sack underperforming civil servants will attract new talent into the administration.
We are now giving out a signal that we are serious about work performance. We are serious about dealing with those who cannot contribute to the team, to the civil service team. Those who have the intention of contributing their best to the civil service will find their work rewarding. The performance will not be dragged down by team members who are not performing well.
Yeung warned that government jobs are not secured for life, and staff who consistently underperform will be dismissed. Under the proposed mechanism, department heads will no longer have to set up a consultation panel to observe underachievers. She said the dismissal process will be shortened from 20 months to 6 months under the new mechanism. 3 people were injured after a private vehicle overturned in Sai Kung. At around 3 a.m., the car lost control near Yau Ma Po Street. Before flipping over, the car rammed into a storefront and dismantled pavement railings. The 25-year-old driver claimed he was trying to avoid running over a dog. He and 2 other passengers were trapped and had to be rescued by firefighters. The trio were sent to Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The housing chief said that competition for subsidized homes this year was the weakest since 2014. Winnie Ho also revealed that 2,000 flats would be handed out under the Advanced Allocation Scheme early next year. Janice Low reports.
Around 170,000 people have applied for subsidized housing under the home ownership scheme this year. With roughly 9,200 flats on offer, there are 18 contenders for every flat. Despite the high demand for flats, the number of people applying for subsidized housing was the lowest since the government resumed the housing scheme 9 years ago. Taking to the airwaves this morning, Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho pointed out that it is a healthy sign. The situation was dire in the past when only 1 in 60 applicants could win the lottery, she said. Buyers have been made aware of the price of the flat when they apply for subsidized housing. Those who win the ballot this time will be able to choose a flat by next year. But Ho made it clear that no adjustments will be made to the cost, even if there are changes in the property market. In a bid to shorten the waiting time for public rental housing, the government is going to introduce an advanced allocation scheme. Ho revealed that the scheme would be first implemented in 2 housing estates located in Tuen Mun and Cheng Yi. A total of 2,000 flats will be available early next year, while another 10,000 would be ready by 2025-26. In an update, the housing chief said the light public housing scheme is progressing very ideally. She expects the Bureau to receive the first tender early next month and hopes to apply for another funding from the Legislative Council by early next year. On another note, Ho emphasized that the government has sufficient land supply for the next decade, and young adults will have more opportunities to own a house. They should start by saving up and have a stable job, she added. Janice Low, HKIBC.
A search is underway for up to 6 people involved in a fight in Shamsherpo early this morning. 3 people aged 40 to 45 got into an argument with up to 6 others when they were passing by Nam Chun Street at around 2 a.m. The trio suffered head and hand injuries after an altercation ensued, and they were attacked with bamboo sticks. Police are investigating the case, and no arrests have been made so far. Leaders of the United States, South Korea, and Japan met in Washington to deepen military and economic cooperation. U.S. President Joe Biden hosted the summit at Camp David with his Asian allies to counter China. Sachin Katvi reports.
U.S. President Joe Biden welcomed his South Korean counterpart Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida for a historic summit at the Camp David Presidential Retreat in Maryland. The summit, with its 2 main allies in Asia, was meant to deepen military and economic cooperation and an attempt to project unity in face of China's growing power. All 3 nations agreed to consult promptly with each other during crisis and to coordinate responses to regional challenges, provocations, and threats affecting common interests. Although Biden stressed that the trilateral summit was more focused on broader security issues and not China, he said a peaceful Indo-Pacific would be beneficial for all parties in the region.
This summit was not about China. That was not the purpose of the meeting. But this summit was really about our relationship with each other. It was about more peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific, a region, quite frankly, that would benefit everyone living there and around the world if we get it right.
China sees the summit as the first steps towards the formation of a Pacific version of NATO. While all 3 countries want to avoid provoking Beijing, China believes Washington is trying to isolate it diplomatically. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
On to the weather now. It will be cloudy with occasional heavy showers and squally thunderstorms tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 27 and 31 degrees, mainly overcast with sunny intervals in the next couple of days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Saturday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Maisy Mok. Thanks for watching. Good night.